Today's video is going to go over popular participation in the government, and this is really important because it's going to give you some ways that you can participate in your government, which is super essential because the framers of our Constitution, they designed a government based on you, the will of the people. They wanted your voice to be heard, and many people still don't know how they can have their voice heard in the government. One thing they expected is they expected people to take part in their own government and to hold their leaders responsible for their actions. If people are not doing that, that is a disservice to our government. So if you look at our presidential elections, and our presidential elections are elections that are participated in the most, we are getting maybe half of Americans, 50%, that actually use their right to vote, which to me is fairly sad. The first thing to discuss when we talk about popular participation is majority rule. Majority rule is that laws are passed by a majority vote and elections are decided by a majority of voters. So for example, when we as Iowans elect the members of our House of Representatives and the members of our Senate, our votes are decided by majority vote. The more people that votes for one candidate, they win the election. Decisions made represent what most of the people want. That is why majority rule is in place here, because the majority of people want something, therefore it's going to happen. Laws are passed in Congress by majority vote as well, and like I described earlier, elections are decided by majority vote. Therefore, since majority has to win, leaders are forced to listen to their voters, or they will not be elected/re-elected. That's the whole point of this. We don't want leaders just to get in a comfortable position. We want them to be able to connect to the people. They're serving the people. Therefore, they need to be able to connect with them, know their thoughts and concerns. So yes, I have discussed voting a little bit, especially in discussing majority rule. But participation in the government has evolved in many ways that are actually not part of the Constitution. The only part of the Constitution for popular participation is voting. It guarantees people the right to vote. Male, female. If you're 18 years of age, you can vote. That's what the Constitution guarantees us. But there's other ways that you can participate. So the one way that you can participate is you can belong to political parties. You can be a Democrat. You can be a Republican, you can be a Libertarian. So this is just another way people can help choose their leaders and influence positions leaders take on certain issues. So we know that there's the Republican National Convention, the Democratic National Convention, and these conventions made up of people in that party, they actually are responsible for choosing their leaders. So they choose their nominees, which is an important step and really part of the process where you have a lot more influence than actually going out and voting. Another way that you can participate in government is joining interest groups. I'll give you some examples of interest groups, but some ways to remember them is that interest groups, what they do is they promote a certain view on different issues. Some examples of groups would be certain businesses, industries, workers, and they could talk about a variety of things, and this can be from environment to healthcare, really anything political they can take a stance on. In looking at interest groups, we really want to focus on the picture at the bottom right here. Here's just some examples of interest groups that kind of influence certain decisions and topics that political leaders will look at. For example, the National Rifle Association for gun rights, that would be an interest group because they want to promote gun rights and protect that Second Amendment. We also see MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. That would be an interest group so to promote harsher laws against drunk driving and the influence of alcohol. So those are just kind of two examples of interest groups that you can be a part of. And then, of course, the last way you can participate in your government is voting, participating in elections. Exercise the right to vote. and have your voice be heard. Even if you aren't 18 years old, you can get out there, you can experience the caucuses, you can go out and you can experience protests if you decide to do that. There's lots of ways that you can participate in your government and kind of influence your leaders, the people who represent you, to make decisions that are actually going to help. I think a lot of times people, they complain about politics, but still they don't know how they can participate in them and actually have their voice heard so they can make the change that they want.